Hello, it's Georgetta Gankars here, and I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about some tips about painting the portrait. And painting the portrait is quite different from painting the figure. So we'll go into detail about painting the figure, but now we're just going to talk about a couple of things that you might want to know about painting the portrait. So the first thing you have to do is you have to think about the shape of the face. So is the person's face oval? Is it round? Is it heart-shaped? What type of shape of the face do they have? The second thing you want to think about is how, when you're standing or you're looking at the face at the photograph, whatever you're painting from, how is the face facing you? Is it looking at you directly, straight on? Does it have a side view? Is it looking up? Is it looking down? Because that's very important, because that's going to change the features on the face. For an example, if I'm looking at you straight, I look this way. But if I'm looking at you down, my features change. In fact, look what happens to my lips when I look at you straight, down. Look what happens to the size of my lips. Okay, and what happens to my eyes. The next thing that you want to think about is you want to think about the light and the dark areas on the face. So there's a rule of thumb. We have light areas on the face, and those are the areas that protrude. That means that they come forward. So we have the forehead that comes forward, the nose, the cheeks, then the chin. And that's a rule of thumb. Your eyes are kind of set back into your head. In fact, if you feel around your eye here, you can see that they're set back. In other words, they're not on the same, they're not as high as it, right? Your forehead's here, and then if you touch and you go lower and lower, you can see that your eye is kind of like in this little cavity, right? And then if you kind of move your hand down here, you can feel your cheekbones, they're coming out, right, a little bit. And then you kind of move down here and you can feel your chin, and it's protruding. It's not as flat. You can feel that ridge here. So by a rule of thumb, those are light areas. So again, the forehead, the nose, the tip of the cheeks, right, and the chin. And the dark areas are under the eyes, right here, you can see behind the cheeks, right, and you can see under the nose, under the lip here, this lip kind of protrudes, right, and you see a shadow here under my neck, because this is coming forward, and it's casting a shadow. So again, dark, 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 dark. Sometimes you have dark areas here, right, because this comes forward, and then this is a little dark, and then you have dark here. So you notice that you always have a light area against a dark area, and that's good, because when you have the light area against the dark area, when you're doing the face, you could have light, light, light. You see, whatever, light, dark, dark, dark. And then you could take a brush and you can kind of blend them and make them smooth together, both of the colors. But the light area against the dark area makes a curve. Otherwise, your face would look very flat and it wouldn't look two-dimensional. So the next thing that you have to do is, once you're figuring out the light and the dark areas and the shape of the face, you have to think you have to look at the face and you have to think, what colors am I going to use in the areas of the face? So I have students, and we have a face palette, and these are some of the colors, for an example, that you might use for the colors of the face. Now, even though the person might be very of light complexion, they might have dark areas for shadows, and vice versa, right? They might be of darker complexion and have lighter areas. For an example, here is someone. And if you look, and this is a fast kind of sketch, it's not anywhere near finished, but you can see some light areas coming here, the lighter areas coming here, the darker areas starting to build up, and the darker areas here. But if you look very close, you have yellows, you have some pinks in here, and even though it's of a darker complexion, it has a lot of different colors in it. So you would really need to have this palette for someone of light or darker complexion, for the lights and the highlights. The other thing you want to think about, besides the colors, the shape of the face, are also the features and where you're going to place them so they're in correct proportion. So for a child, this area, the forehead, is the largest area. You'll notice when you look at children, their foreheads are very large, okay? But for adults, this is still the largest area. Then this area is the second. You know, it gets a little bit smaller. And then this area in the face is very small. In other words, this area here is not as big as the forehead. You know, your chin wouldn't be that long. So large, you see, medium, and then very small. The next thing you want to think about is the eyes, and I call it the 5-eye rule. So if you hold your hand up to the eye here, and I'm just having it where my eye starts and ends, and I leave that space constant. If I move it here, I have 1 eye, 2 eye, 3 eye, 4 eye, 5 eye. So try it on your eye. You know, you're just going to take your hand here and move it here. You have 1 eye, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's amazing how the space is perfect. And if you would erase the 2 eyes over here, obviously they don't really exist, right? In the eye in the middle, you would have these 2 eyes that are perfect in the middle of your face. And also, you have the nose going down the middle. Your ears are either above your eyebrows, on line with your eyebrows, or below. Okay? Sometimes students draw the ears and they draw them too low. So above your eyebrows, on line with your eyebrows, or below. The 5-eye rule again, measure 1 eye. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Equal distance. You don't have these eyes over here. You just have the 2. And then your lips, you can measure it with your eyes. Now, some people have lips, of course, when you smile, you see your lips extend out. They go wider in relationship to where your eyes are. But usually if your lips are some people have small, thin lips. Some people have, they're short, they're not wide, and they're thick. Some people have thick and wide lips. So you have to look at your lips and decide what kind of lips does the portrait have. My lips are very thin, so if you have your hands where my lips end and you're going all the way up here, if I look at you straight, you see? They're going up and they're meeting almost the corner of my eye. So I'll show you in a drawing. As far as the lips, the corner of your lips would either go to where this white area of your eye meets the round part of your eye. Your lips, the corner of your lips could go to the middle of your eye, or they could go almost to the end of the circle of your eye. But nobody's lips are going to be all the way over here. So some people, when they draw these big lips, they draw them, you know, all the way across and they go all the way here. But they're not that large. They're either, again, where your eye, the white part meets the dark part of your eye in the middle, if you drag it down, where this darkest dot in your eye is, you're dragging it down, or at the end, where the dark part of the eye meets the white part of the eye, the end of that circle, drag it down. But don't make it larger than that at all. And again, this would be the smallest space. And you would have, one of your lips is always darker and one is lighter. Mine happens to be casting light here, so I have a light area here. And if you look at the lips really close, mine are chopped kind of maybe, but you have these lines on the lips. You see the lips are these kind of lines and they kind of curve. They curve this way going this way, and they curve this way going this way, and they kind of curve up going down. So when you paint the lips, you don't want to kind of just paint them across, right? You're kind of painting them in this curving motion, and you have to pay attention to all those wonderful lights and shadows. So I'll show you this contrast of this one face, and you can really see the lights and the darks there. I also want to show you these drawings because they're really interesting, and this is in a book by Latterman. It's called Faces and Figures, and it's something that I encourage students to do. If you haven't done any figure drawing, you can just basically do it with a pencil. You don't have to do it with charcoal. And it's just getting the idea of the shape of the face and learning to do it very simple. So do you see how this drawing here has the shape of the face? The eyes are in proportion with the nose. You can see that this is the larger part of the face again, where the ears are. They're actually, I guess, they're under the hair somewhere here, but they're probably in line with the eyebrows here. And then here's the nose. It runs right into the middle of the lips and then in the middle of the chin. And you can kind of see this curvature. And this is a curvature because they're not looking at you straight on. You see, if I'm looking at you straight on, the line would be down here. But look, when I turn my head, do you see how it curves? Or if I would turn it this way, it kind of curves into an arch. But it's still curved, but everything is perfectly down the middle of the head. So it's good to look and just kind of do that and kind of make these drawings in different ways, with you looking to the side, you looking off to the front. And I'll show you another simple one here. You see? And you see how this is the largest area? Remember we talked about the forehead and this area being medium and this area being very, very small. And depending if you had a side profile, it would be different versus one that is not. So that's a good kind of exercise. And again, if you couldn't see all the different colors in the face, I tell students to take a colored photograph and Xerox it. And if you Xerox the colored photograph, you can see all the different types of grays from light to dark, and it's very helpful. And here again, you can see this space between here and the nose and the lips and the chin. Okay, so those are some things that that you should look for. And in class, we're going to go a little bit more into detail. If you want to do the face, we'll do the initial outlining. We'll learn about blocking out and masking those colors. We'll learn about defining the lights and the shades, making the flesh tones a little bit softer, blending, building the face up, and then adding in the details, adding in the features, blending, and basically adding the highlights on top. And we also learned about how you would build up the flesh tones and apply glazes to the detail of the face. At the same time with working with lights and highlights. So those are some things that I just wanted to share with you again. And I want to show you the facial palette one more time so you kind of have an idea of the different tones here for the face. And I will be going a little bit more into detail in class about that and talking a little bit about the colors. See you in class.